Please take me home, sir. The snow fell like whispered secrets that December evening, each flake dancing through the amber glow of streetlights before settling into the growing blanket that covered Millbrook's quiet downtown. The wind carried with it the sharp bite of winter, sending pedestrians hurrying past storefronts with their collars turned up and their breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. Robert Henderson pulled his black wool coat tighter as he stepped out of his office building. At 52, he had built Henderson Industries from a small family business into one of the region's most successful manufacturing companies. His days were filled with board meetings, conference calls, and decisions that affected hundreds of employees. Tonight, like most nights, he was leaving the office well past sunset, the weight of responsibility familiar on his shoulders. The parking garage was nearly empty, his footsteps echoing off the concrete walls as he approached his silver Mercedes. The sound seemed louder in the cold air, more pronounced somehow. He was thinking about the quarterly reports waiting on his home desk when he heard it, a sound so faint he almost dismissed it as the wind. But there it was again. A small voice, trembling and barely audible. Robert paused, his hand on the car door handle, and listened. The underground garage was supposed to be secure, accessible only to building tenants and their guests. He looked around the dimly lit space, scanning between the few remaining vehicles. "Hello," he called out, his voice carrying across the concrete expanse. Silence stretched for a moment, then came the reply, so soft he had to strain to hear it. Please help me." Following the voice, Robert walked deeper into the garage, past his car and toward the darker corners where the fluorescent lights flickered weakly. There, huddled behind a concrete pillar near the emergency exit, was a sight that made his heart stop. A little girl sat curled against the cold wall, her small frame barely visible in the shadows. She couldn't have been more than 7 years old. Her dark hair hung in damp strands around her face, and her clothes, a thin pink sweater and worn jeans, were completely inadequate for the December weather. Snow had somehow found its way even into this covered space, clinging to her shoulders and melting into small puddles around her. "Sweetheart," Robert said gently, his voice echoing his own surprise. He knelt down slowly, not wanting to frighten her. "What are you doing here? Where are your parents?" The child looked up at him with eyes that seemed far too old for her young face. She was shivering uncontrollably, her lips tinged with blue, her small hands wrapped around her knees in a futile attempt to stay warm. I got lost," she whispered, her teeth chattering. "Mama told me to wait by the big building with the lights, but I can't find her. It's so cold, and I've been looking everywhere." Robert felt something shift inside his chest, a protective instinct he hadn't experienced since his own daughter Emma was small, before she'd grown up and moved across the country for her career. He shrugged off his heavy coat without hesitation and wrapped it around the girl's tiny shoulders. The coat engulfed her completely, but he could see the relief in her eyes as the warmth enveloped her. "What's your name, honey?" he asked, sitting down beside her on the cold concrete, no longer concerned about his expensive suit. "Sarah," she said, pulling his coat tighter around herself. "Sarah Mitchell. My mama's name is Jennifer. She works at the cleaning company, and she said she had to work late tonight at the big office building. She told me to wait by the door, but there were so many doors, and I got confused." Robert's mind raced. Mitchell Cleaning Services. He knew the company well. They handled the janitorial work for several buildings in the downtown district, including his own. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through his contacts, finding the number for the building's security desk. "This is Robert Henderson," he said when the guard answered. "I need you to check if Jennifer Mitchell from Mitchell Cleaning is still in the building. It's urgent." While they waited, Robert talked quietly with Sarah, learning that she was 7 years old, loved to draw pictures of horses, and had been waiting in the cold for over 2 hours. Her mother had arranged for her usual babysitter to pick Sarah up from school, but the sitter had gotten sick at the last minute. With no other options and a crucial cleaning contract that couldn't be postponed, Jennifer had brought Sarah to work, planning to finish quickly. But the job had run longer than expected, and in the confusion of the large building's multiple entrances, Sarah had become separated from her mother. "She must be so worried," Sarah whispered, tears beginning to form in her eyes. "We're going to find her," Robert assured her, and he meant it with every fiber of his being. His phone buzzed. Jennifer Mitchell was indeed in the building, frantically searching for her daughter. The security guard was bringing her down immediately. 5 minutes felt like an eternity, but then the elevator doors opened, and a woman in a cleaning uniform burst out, her face streaked with tears and panic. "Sarah!" Jennifer cried, rushing toward them. "Mama!" Sarah struggled to her feet, still wrapped in Robert's coat, and ran into her mother's arms. The reunion was everything Robert had hoped it would be: tears of relief, whispered apologies, and the fierce embrace of a mother who had feared the worst. Jennifer looked at Robert over her daughter's head, her gratitude evident even through her tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know how to thank you enough. I was so scared, I thought." "She's safe now," Robert said simply. "That's what matters." As he watched them together, something profound settled into Robert's chest. For months, he had been feeling disconnected from his purpose, going through the motions of success without the satisfaction he once felt. Tonight, in this cold parking garage, he had found something he didn't even know he was looking for. The next week, Robert Henderson established a scholarship fund for single parents pursuing education while working multiple jobs. He also implemented an on-site childcare program at Henderson Industries, remembering a 7-year-old girl who had simply needed a safe place to wait for her mama. Sometimes the most important moments come not from boardrooms or quarterly reports, but from a whispered plea in the darkness and the simple act of wrapping someone in warmth when they need it most. And sometimes, in helping someone else find their way home, we discover that we've found our way back to ourselves.